Hey folks, Randy here. We're doing cut and trim. So 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I went to college and graduated, got my Bachelor of Science in Child Development, and got a job essentially as a social worker with the state of Maryland, making $30,000 a year, which works out to about $15 an hour. Making $30,000 a year doing that 10 years ago, it definitely was not, it was kind of a bummer, but I knew I was climbing. I knew I was starting at, pretty low, but I had something to work towards. And I did, and I think after 5 years, I think I was making around almost 40. And, I wasn't pumped about it, but it is what it is. Went on about my day. However, when I was making $15 an hour, I was spending more time than I would have preferred with sex offenders, child molesters, child abusers, drug addicts, prostitutes, pimps, gang members, gang leaders, people that are now considered criminally insane. Spent lots of time with people like that. I enjoyed the work. I was threatened physically at least weekly. Cursed out pretty much on a daily basis. Only physically assaulted a couple of times, and it did not end well for them. But it is what it is. But it was the job I got out of college, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. And actually, honestly, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I like it. But I actually really missed that job. I liked it a lot. But anyway, my whole point in saying all that is I was making $15 an hour doing that just 10 years ago. Just 10 years ago. And now in the state of Maryland, they're talking about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And I think I don't know. I think lawmakers... after I had a child, it occurred to me that it was really crazy that I was allowed to be a foster care worker without ever having a child. And now that I'm a business owner, I think it's really crazy that politicians who have not been business owners are allowed to make decisions about what's best for business. Because $15 minimum wage is not gonna do what people think it's gonna do. When I was a kid, the thought of when I was a teenager, the minimum wage was I think $6.50 an hour. I was making 10 because I wasn't going to do a minimum wage job. Basically you had to work at McDonald's or something and they'd pay you nothing. Or you could do like something in the construction or landscaping trade and they'd pay you 10. So that's what I did. Minimum wage was for garbage jobs that nobody wanted. But if they move the minimum wage to $15 an hour, that causes a lot of different problems. The first one is, I can tell you, for me, I had every intention of hiring someone. I had somebody in particular in mind. It didn't work out. He ended up getting an amazing job I'm never going to be able to pull him from. But my intention was to pay, probably between $15 and $17 an hour to work with me. I know that's a lot for mowing and trimming, but because of my son's special needs and some of the responsibilities this guy was going to have, I wanted to pay a bit more. So that was the plan, to pay him in that area. But then if the minimum wage is $15 an hour, then why would he want to come work for me? Why would anybody, a young guy, want to come work for me? You know, if you can make $15 an hour at McDonald's in the air conditioning, why would you come work out in the hot sun? You know, I think these people that are making these decisions aren't really understanding the value of labor, because here's the thing. It is not worth it to McDonald's or anybody else to have somebody flipping burgers for $15 an hour. It's not worth it at all. And they are preparing for this, and a lot of jobs are being lost as a result of it. You know, if you go to McDonald's, most McDonald's, at least in my area, if you go there, you'll notice they usually only have one register open, where it used to be you'd have 3 or 4. McDonald's is in the process of automating as many jobs as possible so that they don't have to deal with paying too much for labor. You know, the technology has existed for a couple of years at this point for a fast food restaurant to be run with only 2 people in the building. That technology's been around for quite a while. Well, yeah, for a couple of years. It hasn't been implemented because up till now, it was cheaper to utilize human labor as opposed to automating everything. But if you keep raising the minimum wage, that's going to change. You know, if it's cheaper to have a machine do the job of a man, they're going to have the machine do it, and that person's going to be out of work. Also, you've got, you know, I started working when I was very young. I was out working with my dad, I think when I was 5, 7. And I was working a regular job that obviously was under the table for, I think I was 11. And, you know, obviously that was under the table. They weren't going to report that to the government. But I'll tell you, man, like that job, I think I was making $6 an hour when I was 11. And, I think the legal age for working is 14 and a half. Ain't nobody hiring no 14 and a half year old for $15 an hour. Oh, well, actually in Maryland, there's like a 85% thing for, you know, minors. Ain't nobody paying a 14-year-old $13 an hour. It's crazy. So, you know, in addition to the fact that jobs are definitely going to be lost, low-end jobs are going to go out, are going to be lost as a result of this. You're going to have an overall weakening of the quality of work that's being done by the labor force because kids aren't going to get the experience. You know, one of the great things about working at McDonald's or any of these, or Walmart or any of these places that don't pay much, is they give you an opportunity to learn how to work, and the employer, because they're paying so little to have you there, doesn't mind teaching you because, you know, you get what you pay for. You know, so it gives kids an opportunity to learn how to work while someone else is able to get some benefit out of you. You know, at $15 an hour, you're gonna have to figure out how to learn how to work on your own time, because you're not gonna learn with me. You know, I've got guy. It's killing me because I had a guy that I was just talking to, and I was telling him, I was like, you know, you don't value yourself enough. You know, you're worth more than what you're making. You're worth $15 an hour, I think. I think that's what you're worth. That was what I was telling this kid. And, you know, then the government comes out and says, oh, we think that's the minimum amount you should get paid. Come on, man. Like, it's crazy. You know, and you know, unfortunately, like, I mean, it's changing my game plan. I'm going to have to reassess because I just can't see myself paying somebody the minimum wage. And I know it's affecting other industries. I've got a buddy of mine that's in construction, and he was looking to hire the labor guy for his construction company. I mean, you know, if you've worked construction, you're familiar with what that job is. And he was planning on paying $14, $15 an hour. Well, shoot, dude. Who is going to be the labor guy for $15 an hour? That job sucks. I mean, it really sucks. Nobody's going to be willing to do that when they can work in a nice air-conditioned place playing with their phone all day. You know, so you're losing out. You're losing out on the ability to hire people for the job they're worth. You know, the labor guy, I'm sorry, I was a labor guy for a long time. The labor guy is not worth $20 an hour. It's just not. You know, I was getting paid $11 to be the labor guy. And it's kind of debatable whether or not I was worth that. So, you know, I got more to say about it, but I'm pulling up to a customer's property and I don't want to be rude to him. So we're just going to have to leave it there. But, you know, they're being very short-sighted when it comes to this, what do you call it? To this minimum wage thing. It's going to cause a lot of problems. This is Randy with Doing Cut and Trim. I'll talk to you more about this later. All right, so you know what? Actually, I was not done. The other thing that actually is really, really annoying me about this whole thing is the fact that somebody out there, some politician, has decided that somebody working at McDonald's, nothing against you folks that work at McDonald's, but the fact that they're saying somebody working at McDonald's, that their labor is valued at the same rate as me when I was working with foster children and dealing with all the garbage that went along with that. That was a brutal job. I loved it, but it was brutal. And they're saying, the McDonald's worker and yours truly, that our labor is at the same value? Politicians, man. That's something else. But what you gonna do? That's why I don't work for the government anymore. Now this is Randy with Doing Cut and Trim. Have a good one.